What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. We're here with another video and another tier list, and you already know we're going in with the most CTE fighters in the UFC tier list. Of course, I put up a poll yesterday. I had 5 different options of which video that you guys wanted to see next, and 40% voted for this video, which was the majority. So I'm going to do this. Don't have fear if you wanted to see the other videos, they will all be coming at some point, but this is the first one down. And we're going to go through the most CTE fighters in the UFC, obviously. Top tier is for one man and one man only, the king of CTE. Then we got pure brain damage, not all there, likely CTE, and then just downs. For the other people that are just a bit retarded. But we're going to get started, and we're going to go with the first fighter, and I'm going to go with Cody Garbrandt. I'm going to put him in likely CTE. I'm inclined to go downs. You know what? Okay, I'm going to leave him in likely CTE because, yes, it's very likely that this guy has CTE, but he's also incredibly downs. Like, the fuck is this guy's decision-making in fights? Like, recently it's been better when he fights bums, but put this guy in a big spot on a pay-per-view, in a main event, or for a title fight, and he just acts like a retard. Like, Dillashaw gets into a brawl and then gets chinned after he was winning. Like, Munoz, he was beating and then he starts brawling. Like, this guy's actually so retarded. So I'm putting him in likely CTE, but I would also accept downs for Cody Garbrandt because he displays some very Down syndrome behavior. But we're going to move on to another fighter, and I'm going to go with Dan Hooker. He's going in pure brain damage. Dan Hooker is like... It's sort of like every word he speaks, you can just hear the CTE coming out of his voice. Like, he just sounds mentally damaged. He looks physically damaged. He gets into wars like every fight. The only fight where he hasn't taken damage in his last fights was against Claudio Puelles. It took a fucking jiu-jitsu nerd who was rolling on their back to not take damage in a fight. So Dan Hooker, pure brain damage. Stand up, babe. He just sounds like a fucking retard. It's like he's definitely got CTE. He's gone through so many wars. Poirier, Felder, everyone, like the whole lot. You already know. Barboza. Like, this guy just gets beaten up for fun. He's Jalen Turner, of course, most recently. This guy just gets whacked up in all of his fights, and definitely a lot of brain damage there. But we're going to move on to another fighter, and I'm going to go with Michael Chandler. I'm putting him in downs because although it would be very likely that he does have CTE, similar to Cody Garbrandt though, this guy's decision making in fights is just retarded. And look, he talks in the real world like he's actually pretty alright. So I don't think the CTE's hit him too hard yet. Maybe he's got a few more wars to go before he, starts slurring his words. But Michael Chandler, this guy's decision-making in fights is horrific. He's fucking retarded. And then he starts talking like he's a philosopher and stuff. So maybe he's got a bit of CTE there, but I'm going to put Michael Chandler in the Down syndrome category. We move on to another fighter, and I'm going to go with Justin Gaethje. I'm going to put him in not all there. Because, look, although people think he might have more CTE than Dan Hooker, I think he's, like, disguised it better. I think, if you know what I'm saying. Like, Justin Gaethje, he doesn't get beat up as much as Dan Hooker. Like, Dan Hooker's defense is worse. Gaethje's actually reduced the CTE later on in his career. Like, he actually didn't get punched in the face that much by Fiziev. Like, at the end of the fight, he looked fine. Like, he was good. It's like the Alvarez and the Poirier fights where he was getting beaten up. But then he stopped being dumb. But, definite CTE for sure, but I think it's, like, not all there. Like, it's just a bit odd. You can see in his facial expressions as well, some very CTE kind of looks. But yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to move on, though, to another fighter, and I'm going to go with Anthony Smith. He's also going in not all there. This guy, the only person in the cage to ever start talking to themselves, to start trying to motivate themselves and say that they're attacking his family. Like, that's all you need to know. Pure CTE from Anthony Smith. Like, a lot of brain damage. That knee from John Jones probably still got some lingering effects. Got beat up by Walker. Got beat up by Khalil Roundtree. Got beat up by Uncle Live. Like, this guy, later on in his career, he just, like, got beat up by, what's his name? The black guy. Ryan Spann. Anthony Smith just keeps getting punched in the face a bunch of times. And yeah, he's definitely not all there. He's getting like visions and stuff. Like he's imagining people breaking into his house. Like it's crazy. So not all there for Anthony Smith. But I'm going to go to another fighter. And I'm going to go with Vicente Luque. I'm going to put him in likely CTE. Look, he doesn't display a lot of super like CTE characteristics. He's not doing no Tito Ortiz kind of stuff, who's obviously featured later in the video. But Vicente Luque, he literally had a brain bleed in his like previous to last fight against Jeff Neal. Like this guy, he gets in wars all the time. He's definitely got a bit of CTE. Not displaying it too much yet, which is good. He doesn't slur his words overly much, but I'd say definite CTE there a bit for Vicente Luque. We move on to another fighter, and I'm going to go with Tony Ferguson. He's going in pure brain damage. T-Ferg, it's tough. You know, the 7-fight losing streak, it's come with a lot of brain damage. And even before that, he would get punched in the face a lot. That was just how he fought. But he's just getting worse and worse. He's making less and less sense. He's throwing holy water on his wife. He's having, like, hallucinations. It's not a good time for Tony Ferguson. Like, he didn't take that much damage in the Oliveira and the Dariush fight. But, like, Paddy beat him up. Diaz landed a bunch of shots. Chandler slapped him. Like, he's just taking brain damage. It's sad. I don't want to talk about it. It makes me upset. But Tony Ferguson's gone in pure brain damage. We move on to another fighter, and I'm going to go with Michael Johnson. He's going in likely CTE. MJ, you know, he just gets knocked out a bunch. His chin's kind of gone. Just likely CTE. He's gotten in a few wars in his career. We love him for it, but yeah. He's the most inconsistent fighter in UFC history. The only guy to hold wins over Tony Ferguson and Edson Barboza and Dustin Poirier, and then lose to Clay Guida. Like, that's tough. Yeah, Michael Johnson, likely CTE. We move on to another fighter, and I'm going to go with... Who do I go with? I'm going to go with Marvin Vettori. I'm going to put him in... I'm actually going to put Vettori in... Where do I put Vettori? I'm actually really contemplating this, because he's got a lot of CTE, so I'm going to put him in not all there. I'm going to say not all there for Marvin Vettori, because this guy, he gets punched in the face a bunch. He got beat up by a black guy last time against Cannonier. Like, he's just a punching bag in a lot of his fights. The way he talks, he's gotten a lot of CTE kind of in his voice. You know, how the fuck is that even a question? Like... He's just the outbursts randomly, forgets how to put his shorts on. Definite CT for Vettori, so he's not all there. Another fighter that we're going to go with is Bobby Green. I'm putting him in likely CTE. King Green, as he calls himself, Bobby Green. Look, I probably wouldn't even have him on this list before the Jalen Turner fight, but just after that, I'm like, yeah, that's CTE if I've ever seen it. Got beat up badly. Even in other fights, he gets dropped. He got KO'd by the Grand Wizard Dober. Like, he's got beat up a bunch of times. I'm just assuming CT for Bobby Green. He does kind of slur his words a little bit. I think that's also the weed, but yeah, I'm going to put him there. We move on to another fighter, and I'm going to go with Max Holloway. I'm going to put him in... Where should I put Max Holloway? Because he doesn't display it heaps, but this guy's taken so many punches. So I'm going to put him in... I'm going to say pure brain damage, just because of the sheer amount of shots that he's absorbed to the face. I know he's never been knocked down, but I feel like he's just copping it. Like, I'm probably going to move him later on, but yeah. Max Holloway, very CTE, like... I don't know, his voice, just like his face shape has been like reconstructed by the punches that he's absorbed. So that's tough for Holloway. But we move on to another fighter, and I'm going to go with... Who should I go with now? I'm going to go with Matt Schnell. I'm just going to chuck him in downs. Like, we like Matt Schnell, don't get me wrong. He fights really entertaining, but he hasn't been around for too long to just absorb a crazy amount of damage, but he definitely has a bit of CTE there. Bad decision making in fights, gets dropped very easily, so I'm just going to chuck him in downs. Next fighter that we're going to have here is Rob Font. I'm going to put him in likely CTE. Again, a guy that we haven't heard him speak too much, so we don't know the effect that the brain damage is having on him. But yeah, he just gets punched in the face a lot. He gets swelled up, like he gets dropped a heap. So yeah, Rob Font going in likely CTE. We're gonna move on to another fighter, and I'm gonna go with, who should I go with now? Frankie Edgar. I'm gonna chuck him in likely CTE, and I'm gonna move Cody Garbrandt down to downs because although he definitely has CTE, I just don't want to put too many in one tier. So I'm moving Cody to downs, and I'm putting Frankie Edgar in likely CTE. Just the amount of times this guy's been KO'd. Got KO'd by Gutierrez, got KO'd by Sandhagen, got KO'd by, what's his name, Cheeto. And that's only in the later part of his career. So Frankie Edgar, it's tough. Gets punched in the face a whole lot. Gets dropped. Yeah, it's rough. When you've been around for that long and you just keep getting hit, that's just what's going to happen, isn't it? We move on to another fighter. And I'm going to go with, who should I go with now? I'm going to go with Brian Ortega. I'm going to put him in likely CTE, but I might go not all there. Actually, because I can't have... You know what? I'm going to put Brian Ortega in not all there. And then... Because I feel like Holloway... Brian Ortega's taken more, like, bad damage than Holloway. So, I'm going to move Holloway down to not all there. And then I'm actually going to move Ortega to brain damage. That's what I'm going to do, actually. I'm going to put him here ahead of Smith. So, yeah, apologies for that. But Brian Ortega got beat the hell out of by Volk. Got beat the hell out of by Holloway. This guy just takes a lot of damage. He swells up like he's, I don't know, just very, very damaged individual. I don't know what else to say. We're going to move on, though, to another fighter. And I'm going to go with Dominic Reyes. He's going in pure brain damage for sure. Dom Reyes, after that John Jones fight, never before have I seen a fighter lose their chin by getting wrestle fucked. Dominic Reyes, after that Jones fight, he got slept by Blachowicz, got slept by Yuri, got slept by Span. Like, it's just been a tough run for Mr. Reyes. It's a tough one. Just keeps getting beaten up, fractured orbitals, CTE, a whole lot. It's not a good time for Big Dom Ray. We're going to move on, though, to another fighter. And I'm going to go with Brandon Moreno. I'm putting him in downs. Just because, although, yeah, I think the downs thing is like everyone on this list likely has CTE. Like, that's just how it is. But Brandon Moreno, he just sounds downs. He acts downs. I think he is a bit downs. Like, you see that video of him when he walked up behind someone and, like, did the weird laugh? Like, that is only explainable by Down syndrome behavior or, like, autism or something like that. Which I have. But, we can recognize it. Brandon Moreno, definitely a little bit tistic, a little bit downs. I'll get around him for that. But we move on to another fighter. And I'm going to go with Nate Diaz. I'm going to put him in pure brain damage. This guy, Nate Diaz, what can you say? Just the weed. I don't know half the time if it's the weed or the brain damage. This guy can't string a sentence together properly. Stumbles over his words. I mean, I'm doing that right now, so maybe I have CTE. But Nate Diaz, he's just being less and less coherent the longer he goes on. Keeps getting beaten up. I don't remember a single fight that he's gone without, just getting whooped. Because his chin's so good that he just takes damage the whole time, so... He doesn't just get KO'd and be done with it. Instead, he takes 40 shots. Once he gets rocked or something and then takes 40 shots and then still survives. He just keeps getting rocked. So Nate Diaz, definitely a lot of brain damage there. We're going to move on to another fighter. And I'm going to go with... Who should I go with now? I'm going to go with BJ Penn. I'm going to chuck him in pure brain damage right up the top. This guy, extreme brain damage, extremely downs... Extremely retarded. You hear this guy go off on some random ass rants and shit. It's just not a good look. BJ Penn got that. It's that T-Ferg effect. You know what? I'm putting Dan Hooker. Behind Tony Ferguson too. But yeah, BJ Penn. It's a rough one for him. He just keeps getting. He got way too much damage later on in his career. I didn't even watch the sport all the way back then. I've seen a few of his fights, Yair and all that, when he just kept getting whooped. But yeah, I know earlier on in his career he was fucking elite, but then when you just keep going on that losing streak, it takes a lot out of you. Same with T Ferg, so it's tough for BJ Penn. Maybe we bring him back for one last fight against Ferg. Next fighter, we're going to go with Mike Perry. I'm just going to chuck him in downs. Although this guy most certainly has a lot of CT, like just look at him. He's just downs in general, so I just had to put him in this tier. Not much else to say. We're going to move on to another fighter, and I'm going to go with Stipe Miocic. I'm putting him in not all there, just behind Gaethje. This guy, again, similar to the Diaz effect, can't string a sentence together. You know what? I'm moving Ortega behind these two, and I'm moving Diaz ahead of Reyes. Yeah, Stipe can't string a sentence together. Like, he's invented his own language, like half Croatian, half English language or some shit like that. No one knows what the fuck he's saying. But yeah, Stipe, very downs, very not all there, very CTE. I'm going to adjust this list when I finish, but last person on the list is, of course, the king of CTE. It's Tito Ortiz. You already know, the man himself, the future mayor, the future president. Vote Tito Ortiz, you know, once the polls are closed. Don't be reaching for those grapes trying to make your cheese and wine. Don't be doing that. This man, he knows how to cut an onion. He'll go in that G-force chamber like Tito Ortiz. Oh my. He's an old mature. He wants to outlive his kids. Like, he's just that kind of guy. Tito Ortiz, he knows what he's up to. I think when you get to that level of CTE, it's no longer a negative. Like, you've ascended to a higher level. Maybe that is the only true way to make it to the top level of life. Tito Ortiz he's almost exited consciousness, and it's just, we've got some random spirit down here just making random statements. Tito Ortiz, I forget like what else has he said that was just retarded, but like he trains 5 days a week, 3 days of the week. He's like that. He's that guy. Tito Ortiz, the amount of I'm gotta put him in King of CTE just for the amount of shit that he's said. That's like, oh my god, that is pure brain damage from Tito Ortiz. So good stuff. He's the King of CTE, of course. He wants to outlive his kids. Yeah, Tito Ortiz, brain damage central. I'm gonna just adjust this a little bit. You know what? I'm putting Ortega down to not all there. I might put Gaethje up to pure brain damage, you know. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm going to put Stipe ahead of Ortega. What else should I do? I think I'm happy with this. I got 5 in each tier, and then 6 in the top tier, and then 1 obviously in King of CT. But yeah, Michael Chandler, Matt Schnell, Cody Garbrandt, Brandon Moreno, Mike Perry for downs. Edgar, Luke Hay, Johnson, Bobby Green, Rob Font for likely CTE. Stipe, Ortega, Holloway, Smith, Vittori for not all there. Penn, Ferg, Hooker, Diaz, Reyes, Gaethje, pure brain damage, and then the king of CTE, Tito Ortiz. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. That is the CTE tier list. A lot of people in the comments were saying, like, don't do this video, it's already been done. From what I saw, a lot of the other videos, I don't think anyone did it really in tier list. Maybe Rigo has, I'm not sure. But I know Bedtime MMA did it, and like Hopper MMA or whatever his name is. They both did it, but they did like PowerPoint. So I'm like, fuck that, I'm doing a tier list. Tier lists are the way to go. I know I used to do a bunch of PowerPoints, but I like tier lists. They're fun. So let me know what other videos you guys want to see in the comments. I've got a bunch more videos coming soon, obviously. I got a banger coming for Christmas. I got a Christmas special, which is going to be a great video. Stay tuned for that. It will come out in like 2 days. But yeah, keep it locked in on the channel. Turn on notifications. Like, subscribe if you haven't already. Follow my Instagram, Left Lane MMA. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.